Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run through the weather warnings as we have got another rain warning issued for Wednesday, so we are going to see some very heavy rain pushing in through much of Tuesday night into Wednesday, and it is looking really quite horrible indeed, with many hours of rain coming for all. We're able to look at in detail on the latest UKV as things are going to be turning more disruptive throughout the rest of this working week, and it could get very disruptive into the weekend. As we have alluded to in the past few videos, we could be seeing a southerly tracking jet stream in the next few days, and that could allow low pressure systems to spawn and really spin up. Especially the GM and the ECMWF today are producing some really quite strong low pressure systems across parts of southern England, which could have some real strong winds and widespread heavy rain. Not only could it get very disruptive with wind and rain, but the temperatures are dipping quite a lot over the next couple of days as we are seeing that jet stream push southwards with polar maritime air exiting out of Greenland. Throughout the longer range, this pattern looks likely to continue. Now, it's not guaranteed to continue, but most of the runs are keeping this northwest-southeast alignment of the jet stream throughout the rest of February, really. Some runs even producing something a little bit colder than that, with a bit more of a northerly wind potentially pushing in. But at the moment, definitely the more favourable pattern is a west to northwesterly wind, cool and very unsettled over the next 10 days, potentially even longer. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, to like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well. The link's in the description. Now, if you start on the live radar, you can see there is some rain around at the moment, but it isn't anything too disruptive. Across parts of western Scotland and northern Scotland, a few patchy showers here into parts of northern western England as well. But for most, it is a relatively dry day. Temperatures dipping slightly, but they're going to be on more of a downwards trend over the next couple of days. Today, maybe 10, 11, 12 degrees, maybe only 6 or 7 by Thursday, Friday. Now, if you look at the 2 meter temperatures, according to this a bit later in the evening than normal, around 8 p.m, you can see the temperatures are still above average for the time of year, but they are dipping slightly faster than they have done over the past week or so. Some more blues mixing in, still I said above average, but more of those temperatures getting into the single digits this evening. And the thing is, later this week, yes, the temperatures aren't going to be exceptionally cold, but it's going to be a big contrast to what we saw last week. So it is going to probably be quite a shock to the system for many, potentially even needing hat and gloves out once again. Now, if you look at the weather warnings, we've got this warning issued for rain across Wednesday, and it's overnight Tuesday into Wednesday. So from midnight on Tuesday night or Wednesday morning until 12 p.m. on Wednesday lunchtime. And you can see it's heavy rain, may result in some flooding and disruption. Again, we're seeing 15 to 25 widely, maybe as high as 50 to 70. And again, these individual amounts shouldn't really cause anything too hazardous. However, it's because the ground is so saturated at the moment, even a little bit of rain, like this, an inch, maybe 2 or 3 inches in places, could cause some quite significant disruption. So that is why we've got this warning in force, because it is high likelihood and low end of the impact matrix. If we do go over to the latest UKV, we'll be able to see that precipitation moving in over the next couple of days. You can see as we head into Tuesday, we do see some rain clearing in from the west, but it is moving quite slowly and it is relatively patchy, but there are some heavier pulses within it. So if you do get caught in that, you're going to be a little bit unlucky, but for most, it's another cloudy day with some outbreaks of rain, but mostly dry, apart from that band of precipitation moving eastwards. However, that band sort of fades away and then it gets reinforced from the southwest, and just look what happens over the coming hours. A massive wall of rain arrives and gives a very soggy overnight through Tuesday and into Wednesday. Now, that precipitation is likely to linger through much of Wednesday morning, but by the afternoon should have cleared or at least turned more lighter and patchy. But this is going to introduce that polar maritime air, and you can already see across parts of Scotland starting to turn to snow. Across southern England, though, we see recurrence of some wavy weather fronts, which could just hold that rain on for a further length of time. Again, these sort of systems can move northwards or could move very far southwards, so wouldn't take that as gospel at this stage, but we'll keep a close eye on that, as that could mean a really miserable day on Wednesday for some along the south coast. As we progress into Thursday, you see some really heavy showers pushing in from the west. This is another cold front, and it's bringing in even cooler air. The energy associated with these showers and this little squall feature is all to do with the very low pressure and cold air we have aloft. That temperature contrast between the surface temperatures and the upper air temperatures, combined with the very low pressure, it means showers are going to be quite widespread and they are going to be pretty heavy, indeed torrential. And there is even the risk of even seeing some thunderstorms potentially this time of year with this sort of setup. As we progress through Thursday afternoon, lots of heavy showers around, turning to snow over higher ground, quite widely in fact, for Wales, Northern Ireland, Northern England and Scotland. For most, though, will be more of a wintry mix or just rain. Heavier pulses, there is relatively high chance of seeing some growlpool or hail or even a few flakes of snow, but for most, nothing too wintry, just perhaps a few hints of wintriness, but nothing too crazy. That continues through much of Thursday into Friday, and it stays very disruptive. And then into the weekend, we could see this area of cloud to our southwest where we're seeing low pressure starting to spin up there. We could see something quite disruptive indeed with strong winds and maybe some widespread heavy rain pushing in again. But there is quite a bit of uncertainty about the development of any southerly tracking low. GFS not producing much today, even though yesterday was very bullish. The GM and the Eastern UF both producing quite a deep area of low pressure, but have it at different intensities, which would make a big difference to what we see in reality. Now you can see the massive temperature contrast at the moment. Still relatively warm air around, and that's getting pushed away by that big wall of rain into Wednesday. And chilly air comes in, but nothing too cold until the real chill starts to arrive later this week. Again, it's not anything crazy. It's around -4 or -5 degrees at 850 HPA, so not even cold enough for lowland snow, but it is going to be a lot chillier than it's been recently, and you're definitely going to feel it out there. And that continues all the way into the weekend with this recurring northwesterly wind. If you do look at the max temperatures, you can see as we head into tomorrow, we could see again 10 to 13 degrees. Into Wednesday, temperatures will still be decent, maybe 13, 14 at best, but once that rain clears, those temperatures are going to start to fall. And by Thursday, look at that, all into much fresher air, maybe only 4 or 5 degrees across parts of central England, and colder further northwards as proper chill starts to move in. That continues into Friday. Again, nothing crazy, but 6 to 8 degrees. So definitely feeling pretty chilly out there. And then finally into Saturday, you could even see a kind of widespread frost overnight. And again, temperatures not getting much above 7 or 8 degrees. So you can definitely see quite a bit chillier coming up and quite a bit more disruptive with heavy showers, torrential showers, maybe even some snow, and the risk of maybe even a storm or a named storm as we enter the weekend and starts of next week. Now, if you have a look at those long-range charts, see what is in store as we head into next week and end meteorological winter, you can see over the coming days that northwesterly wind is going to pile in. Initially, it's just a strong, flat northwesterly wind, but it's as we head into the weekend where we could see these lows riding the southerly tracking jet stream really develop. Now, the GFS here doesn't really develop this low all too much and actually brings it way to our south, not really impacting us all too much. Stays very unsettled, potentially still very disruptive, but no, not seeing any named storm or anything like that. Beyond that, we stay with sort of northwest-southeast alignment, see another push of polar maritime air before eventually high pressure tries to push back in. But you can see the recurring cool conditions. Again, it's nothing cold. I must stress that is not going to reach widespread snow at all, but definitely is average to below average. Plenty of lighter blues developing here from the northwest as this polar maritime air moves in. Now, the GM is relatively similar with the overall synoptics, however, does develop that low pressure system into the weekend starting next week quite a bit more. Again, very strong northwesterly flow. That low rides the southerly tracking jet stream, and then look what happens. It really develops across parts of southern England into quite a severe system, giving very strong winds as it does pull away into Europe and brings them quite cool or even cold air on its back edge as this low does depart. So that would be a very interesting system indeed if that did develop. Again, very strong winds on its western and northern flank. It could be really quite disruptive indeed if that system did occur. Now, the ECMWF is actually pretty similar, just has a slightly different intensity of that low into next week. Again, very strong northwesterly flow. All runs have that now, so very cool polar maritime areas moving in. That low pressure is trying to develop on the southern edge of that of the jet stream. or the northern average jet stream along the southerly tracking pattern, but you can see the low develops, but it only gets down to 990 millibars, so not particularly low at all, or relative speaking to the GM, not particularly low. Could still bring heavy rain and cool or cold easterly winds as it pulls away, but nowhere near as severe as the GM or the GFS was showing yesterday. And then at day 10, look what we see, another recurrence of that northwesterly wind. Even cooler air could be getting pushed in here, as we do see more of a North Atlantic ridge developing. That would be interesting indeed, as that could actually bring a further risk of snow, maybe even a little bit more widespread. As you can see, that colder air mass is quite a bit stronger and quite a bit more widespread pushing in there. You can see all the very cold air across Greenland. So that is one to watch. By no means is it a bitterly cold pattern, because if we look at the pressure patterns, it's a mid-Atlantic ridge, and this low in northeast Canada is ready to ride the jet stream and push a section of milder air in. So by no means is it a very cold pattern, but nevertheless would be chilly, very unsettled, and really quite horrible indeed. I have to finish by looking at the ensemble skis, very well reflected. The next couple of days above average, but then by Wednesday, Thursday, temperatures go well below average by a good couple of degrees and stay there for the foreseeable future. Longer term, generally around the average mark, but you can see precipitation is relatively high, meaning it is going to be very unsettled indeed. 2 meters temperatures dropping quite substantially from 12, 13, 14 degrees over the next couple of days, down to 6, 7 or 8 at best come next week. Dew points taking a big drop as well, and again that means there is the risk of seeing something potentially wintry falling out of the sky, even to low-lying areas, but again, not thinking anything too severe. And look at the sea level pressure, especially into next week. Very low pressure. Yes, bit of a high pressure signal in around 7, 8, 9 days time, but from around Wednesday, Thursday onwards, very low pressure is signalled. If we compare to the ECWF, this unfortunately only goes out to about day 12 or 13 at this stage, because it's not quite fully come out yet, but very similar, cool and very unsettled. So the pattern looks like it's pretty concrete now. It's looking like to be pretty horrible through the rest of this working week. Into the weekend could get even worse with those lows. So do make sure you pay attention to those weather warnings, as we could see rain, wind, and maybe even snow warnings further northwards at times over the next week or so. There is even the risk of a named storm. Again, it will all depend on what happens to that southerly tracking jet stream with those channel lows potentially developing, and that is one to watch over the coming days. But cool and unsettled, that's the theme over the coming days. And yeah, going to be plenty of very heavy thundery showers around at times, especially for Thursday and Friday. As I said, do stay safe out there. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.